Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new Liturgy album, Origin of the Alemonies. Liturgy are a Brooklyn-based black metal band, and for years have been a real standout in the genre. Just a real fascination of mine. You see, I like metal bands that look at the big picture, the album picture, and with their debut, Reannihilation, honestly, they seem to be the band to do it. It was atmospheric in parts, raw in others, and epic, as most black metal should be. But it also had a really creative, exciting side to it. Like, honestly, I never knew what I was going to hear from Liturgy. That was very exciting. And 2011's Aesthetica was even more so. It was explosive, it was grand, but it was also super progressive and, for the most part, showed Liturgy actually pushing the boundaries of what could be incorporated into black metal. Now, 2015's The HAQQ was a little hit and miss with me. I certainly liked the grand sound to it, and the risks that the band took were certainly commendable, but I missed the sort of rawness of their early days. But 2019's HAQQ, on the other hand, was wild, to say the least. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know this album came out at first. It wasn't until like a month after that somebody put me onto it and told me that it came out. I was really shocked to hear it, honestly. But it is absolutely mind-numbing, incorporating black metal and glitch and neoclassical and experimental music. And also, it contains some of Liturgy's best songwriting. Now here we are, less than a year later, and the band are back at it again. This album starts off with the separation of HAQQ from HAEL, and you know what, I'm just going to say it right now. I'm going to mispronounce a lot of shit here, probably. Sorry. And right off the bat, look, Liturgy have become modern masters of this. Their albums have become so wildly conceptual at this point, I can't just help but sit back and take it all in and love it. I love the mystery behind this track and just how suspenseful it gets. It's also super cinematic, but at the same time I can't help but sit at the edge of my seat and wonder what's going to happen next. But it's also genuinely beautiful. If Hunter Hunt Hendricks hasn't dipped her hands into soundtrack work yet, it's something I'd actually really like to see. But at the same time, between the very chilly atmosphere and the sort of glitchy production, you know this is a Liturgy project. Not only that, only Liturgy can go back and forth, seemingly momentarily, between really gorgeous ambient and instrumental and neoclassical stuff and really refreshing, harsh black metal. It's super exciting. Most of this album is just Liturgy continuing to be modern masters of the super conceptual, very progressive black metal album. Lonely OIOION is also really fantastic, you know, super cinematic. Once again, a lot of this album is. But at the same time, this is one of the harshest and most raw sounding tracks here. And you're damn right, that's a good thing. But between the sort of campy, weird keyboards and the very eerie woodwinds that come in, you're damn right, this also fulfills the gigantic shoes that Liturgy make for them. It's glorious, but it's intense. It's wild, but it's also super beautiful. But it absolutely lives up to the Liturgy name. On the other hand, the fall of SIHEYMN is absolutely gutting. It is so freaking emotional. It is absolutely flooring. Not only that, but it is gorgeously arranged. Liturgy have become so much more than just another black metal project. It's almost like a funeral dirge, but between the guitar scratches and the oddball sound effects, it's still a funeral dirge, but one from maybe an A24 horror flick. It's simultaneously breathtaking, tear-jerking, and really unnerving. And the way that this track eventually rolls into this almost improvisational jazz piece, only Liturgy can do this and make it sound just as epic and cinematic. And then we have SIHEYMN's Lament, and like, what even is this? Once again, we have this off-kilter jazz beat and this booming production. Like, what even is this? Throw in some elegant pianos and some of Hunter Hunt Hendricks' trademark screams, and to quote Carl Weathers' line from Arrested Development, you got yourself a stew going. And of course, in true Liturgy fashion, this track progresses really nicely into a pretty standard but epic and breathtaking black metal tune. And as clunky as that all sounds, like describing all of it comes together really nicely. Not only that, but literally the last 30 seconds of this song sounds like boss battle music from Kingdom Hearts. And the Armistice just kind of sounds like where this album should end. It's one of the more experimental and left field tracks here. But like most of the great moments here, it is equal parts beautiful and raw. But it just feels so right. It is epic and glorious and noisy and wild and just sounds like the summary of every great idea here. I will say this though, because of the small sample size here, and it is a very short album at 7 tracks, 37 minutes, especially for a Liturgy project. When this album falters, I do have some issues. OIOION's Birth is actually sort of a misfire for me. Very rarely does Liturgy's music enter the realm of corny. But after the masterfully done introduction to this album, and just how well crafted so much of the neoclassical elements are on this album, this just kind of sounds like leftovers, very average ones as well. An Apparition of the Eternal Church, the 14-minute long epic track here, is sort of hit and miss for me. Once again, I feel like with just how small of a sample size this album is, Liturgy don't exactly give themselves a lot of wiggle room. This 14+ minute track just sounds like a slew of ideas that sounded cool from a mile away, but are just kind of jammed back to back to back. And don't get me wrong, let me set the record straight. There are some really epic, intense cinematic passages here. But there are just as many moments here that are just sort of average and sound like they needed to be thought out more. It's also just a lot to take in, and that's coming from a band that makes albums that are hard to take in. It's just very average. So Liturgy's latest album is probably their most conceptual to date, and I don't have a problem with that. As a matter of fact, when focused, this is pretty awesome stuff that they're going with here. A lot of the instrumentals, the neoclassical vibes, the jazzy elements, the experimental influences that Liturgy are bringing in are pretty wild and exciting and a breath of fresh air. Once again, Liturgy continue to keep themselves so ahead of its time. However, this is a small sample size here. Liturgy don't exactly give themselves a lot of wiggle room. When this album kind of falls a little bit, things get very average very quick. I would have liked to hear them, I don't know, wait another 6 minutes with this project. Let it cook a little bit more. Add a little bit more to it. Give us some more wiggle room to really grow. This could have been something special. It's pretty average. It's fine. It's another great project from Liturgy, but it's certainly not their best. They've done a lot better. But still, it's decent. I'm feeling a decent 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.